Welcome, this is Terri-lyn. As Jolene mentioned, Anderson and Dexter's 2005 study, Findings and Resulting Theory, were largely based on the National Educational Technology Standards, or what we now call the International Society for Technology and Education Standards. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how these standards changed from 2002 to 2009 in relation to the 2005 article, and how the society has evolved to become what it is today, before we ask you to think critically about how that growth has potentially affected Anderson and Dexter's conclusions. In School Technology Leadership, an empirical investigation of prevalence and effect, Anderson and Dexter discuss how their own indicators that were previously mentioned, such as staff development policy and school technology budget, directly reflect the content of the then National Educational Technology Standards. They also state that while they were not intending to test the validity of the standards with their study, their findings reinforce the importance and usefulness of them as guidelines for successful practice. Some immediately obvious similarities and differences between the NETSE and what is now the ISTE standards, as it exists today, include the profile sets used to specify application that Anderson and Dexter note. However, according to them, the profiles included superintendents, principals, and district technology program directors. Now, the standards have branched out to include students, educators, and coaches as well. Anderson and Dexter claim that in June of 2003, the ISTE's website reported that 29 states had adopted the standards. Today, they're making waves globally and have extensive educational components, including the ISTE Seal of Alignment that reviews and recognizes resources for their alignment to the standards, public learning networks, and their yearly conference expo. When looking at the two more finitely, we can see that there are significant similarities between specific sections. For example, Section 1 of the old standards states that technology leaders need to develop a school-wide shared vision for technology. Section 1 today remains focused on technological vision, with a wider emphasis on all stakeholders when planning for implementation. The most noticeable difference in the two sets of standards seems to be the melding of Sections 4 and 5, as Anderson and Dexter described them, into Section 4, Systemic Improvement, and the shift in the language of the old Section 6 to include more global relevance. Anderson and Dexter predicted that the standards would be refined over time, and a research agenda on technology leadership should keep up with such changes and monitor the evolving capacity in schools for technology leadership. Have they done that? You can decide. Thank you.
Created using Powtoon.